Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 17, which is entitled as Śraddhā-traya-vibhāga yoga, the three types of faith. Sloka 1. Ata saptadasodhyāyah Arjuna uvāca ye śāstra-vidhim utsṛjya yajante śraddhayānvitāḥ teṣāṁ niṣṭhā tu Kṛṣṇa sattvam rajas tamaḥ. This question, which we are going to learn, which is raised by Arjuna because he was not aware that works that not prescribed by the scriptures will yield nothing. It's like asking a question, what will be the result of my exam which I've given that's not part of the course? Well, the answer is nothing. One will not get anything out of it. Though one may have done the exam really well, but that's not part of the course. Why would one get a result if it is not part of the course? This point was missed by Arjuna when Kṛṣṇa said in the 16th chapter. Now let's understand the meaning of the sloka before we get into the details of it. Arjuna uvāca. Arjuna said, Kṛṣṇa, O Kṛṣṇa, ye, those who śāstra-vidhim, the scriptural injunctions, utsṛjya, disregarding or give up, tu, but śraddhayānvitāḥ, endowed with faith, yajante, perform yaga, homa, dāna, etc. teṣāṁ, their niṣṭhā, position or faith, ka, of what kind? Sattvam, abiding in mode of goodness, rajaha, in mode of passion, aho, or else, tamaḥ, in mode of ignorance. Translation. Arjuna inquired, O Kṛṣṇa, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? We need to understand Arjuna's question thoroughly so we can appreciate this chapter. We learned in our introduction of this chapter that earnest effort will yield result. We saw a couple of examples: patience, faith in the remedies for illness, farmer's faith in his activities such as agriculture. They both achieve results, but both of these are not detailed in the scriptures, but they do give result. Therefore, we can't say they are useless, they cannot be done. Therefore, even if not stated in the Shastras, works performed with earnest faith must yield some benefit. That is Arjuna's opinion. So he is asking the question, teṣāṁ iti niṣṭhā sthitihi sthiyate asminiti. Those who undertake sacrifice and other activities not stated in the scriptures and perform them with earnest faith, what will be their position? Niṣṭhā. That work which is done with sattvic mood is sattvika karma. That work which is done with rajasic mood is rajasa karma. And that work which is done with tamasic mood is tamasa karma. Out of these three, we know that sattvika karma is on the top. Lesser than the sattvika karma is rajasa karma, and further lower than the rajasa karma is tamasa karma. That's how Arjuna has understood, which seem to be right understanding so far. But now, Sattvika karma is that which is present and prescribed in the Shastra. Rajasa karma are those which are not present, not prescribed in the Shastra, but done with Shraddha, complete faith. And Tamasa karma are those which are not present, not prescribed in the Shastra, but does on one's own sweet will. This is how Arjuna has classified, grouped 3 types of people in his mind. So his question is, what is their niṣṭhā, position? Do they abide in sattva, in rajas, or in tamas? In other words, what will be the result they get? If they fall into sattvic position, the works performed by them are also sattvic, and the fruit of the works will also be valuable because it is sattvic. If they are rajasic, the works undertaken by them will be rajasic and yield some benefit. May not be the complete benefit that received by being sattvic, rather it gives little lesser benefit than the sattvic. Whereas if they are of tamasic position, the work performed by them are also tamasic, and they will get little benefit out of it, certainly lesser, very lesser than the rajasic. So Arjuna's question is, which of these categories does the person who perform non-scriptural works with faith belongs to? He wants to know this because it will become clear as to of what kind of result they will be getting, what will be the outcome of their activity. As we studied in the previous chapter 23rd sloka, Kama Karataha, this particular statement Arjuna understood it to mean without Shraddha, without faith. In other words, one can have faith in whatever they do, but not necessarily they need to accept the injunctions of the Vedas. So he clearly understood a part of it, but missed out something. What the scriptures do not prescribe will not bear fruit when performed without faith, but when done with earnest faith, it must yield some result. So as we saw in our introduction, Arjuna in his mind thinking there are 2 different types of people, one who follows the scriptures, another one who has faith in his action. But according to Kṛṣṇa, it's not 2 different people, it's the same person, one who has faith in scripture and one does action with a faith to do his action as prescribed in the scripture. As they say, there is some communication gap on Arjuna's side. So Arjuna is thinking there are many intelligent people in the world who undertake works, that work which requires considerable expenses. These works are not as per Shastric injunction. Interestingly, their work does not aim towards any material things either. They may be spiritually oriented, but they have faith in their work, in the activity they perform. How is it possible that these works performed with earnest faith do not yield any unseen benefit? Say for example, people perform certain pujas, but those pujas are done with complete faith, just that it is not prescribed in the Shastra. They should get the benefit because they have faith. Another example is many do donation, charity, charity work. That should in turn return some benefit to the donor, even though it is not mentioned in the Shastra. For all this, the answer is simple, that we are going to see later in this chapter when we go to 5th sloka and 6th sloka, that anything which is not prescribed and done by one's own mind, idea, is not going to benefit. It's not going to give a desired result. In 23rd sloka of the previous chapter, it was stated, Nasa siddhim avapnoti. This must be understood as saying that the non-scriptural works will not yield such great results as the Shastric ones. It does not indicate a total absence of any benefit, any result. That is how Arjuna has understood. So he is thinking, even though it is not mentioned in the Shastra, if one does with faith, something will come out of it. It's like I go to the exam preparing for another subject, which is not the actual subject for today, and expecting that I'm going to get a good result out of it. But what I prepared with faith is totally another subject. But later I understand that it's another subject, but I'm hoping with complete faith that somehow or the other I will get pass, at least. That is how Arjuna is expecting. There are various factors why works not enjoined in the scriptures or even being performed. There are many factors. Let's see a few. One reason could be examples set by those who do not accept the authority of the Vedas. Number 2, belief in the teachings those who are ignorant of the true meaning of the Vedas have developed own and weird understanding, completely contradictory to the Vedas. Number 3, understanding developed by oneself based on one's own logic and interpretation. And number 4, imitating the action of others. Like this, there could be various factors that influences a person to perform actions which are not mentioned in the Shastra. But Arjuna is sticking on to his viewpoint, irrespective of whatever it is. Such work may not be enjoined by the scriptures, but nevertheless, if performed with complete faith, they should yield somewhat some result. Even if it is less, that's fine. Still, one must be getting some result because of his faith, not in the scripture, but in his activity. Arjuna is coming up with an interesting logic. His logic is that because it is performed with faith, it can be sattvic. Because it is not sanctioned by the scripture, it may be tamasic. Because of the combination of both factors, sattvic and tamasic, it can be rajasic. Perhaps the term tu, which is mentioned in the verse, hints that. So Arjuna is saying that action not being recommended in the Shastra, there is no possibility of reward. I understand that. But as it is done with earnest faith, it must yield some benefit. Therefore, what kind of result will one get? That is what Arjuna desires to know. So he calls out Kṛṣṇa, Ka Kṛṣṇa, sattvam aho rajas tamaḥ. The name Kṛṣṇa, Krishu refers to Bhumi, earth, Naha means joy. O Kṛṣṇa, who brings great joy to all the beings of the world. I pray that you remove this confusion in my mind and bestow happiness to me too. This is why Arjuna is calling out Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa will affirm that faith in what is not ordained in the scriptures is futile, and so are yaga, yajna, dana, other dharmas that not enjoined in the shastras but done with faith. Kṛṣṇa is going to expand on this later, that even though one performs an activity with complete faith, but that activity is not recommended or prescribed in the Shastra, then it is simply a futile effort which will result in nothing. But prior to that, Kṛṣṇa wants to declare that even works enjoined by the scriptures fall into three types: sattva, rajas and tamas. For this purpose, Kṛṣṇa first explains the threefold nature of faith in works enjoined in the scriptures in the following slokas. Kṛṣṇa did not answer immediately to Arjuna's question, as we learned in the introduction that Kṛṣṇa was quite not happy that even though Kṛṣṇa has explained clearly, Arjuna did not get. He missed the point. But at the same time, Kṛṣṇa will respond to Arjuna's question, because if Kṛṣṇa doesn't respond, then we all will not have an answer, or we will continue to do the way that Arjuna thinks what is right. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa will address and respond to Arjuna's question after few slokas. This subject is very important because we need to know where we put our faith in. There are people who create something on their own and call it as God and start worshipping. Sometimes people select a human being who may have some mystic powers or some charisma and start worshipping that person with faith. Does these worship fall into mode of goodness, passion or ignorance? What will be the outcome of such faith, which are not actually mentioned in the scriptures? Whereas there are people who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but who have faith in certain devatas. They don't believe Shastra, but they believe in certain devata, and then they worship that particular devata on their own ways. What will they attain? To conclude, Arjuna asked Kṛṣṇa, some persons undertake works not prescribed by the scriptures, setting aside the scriptural injunctions, but they perform these works with great earnestness. What will be their state? Do they abide in sattva guna, or in rajoguna, or in tamoguna? Let's see how Kṛṣṇa takes this question in the next sloka. We hope that the question in Arjuna's mind is clear now. To move forward with the following slokas. śāstra-vidhim utsṛjya yajante śraddhayānvitāḥ teṣāṁ niṣṭhā tu kā Kṛṣṇa sattvam āho rajas tamaḥ. Namaste. Hare Krishna.